Hey, we'll just give a couple more minutes to let more people join our session. In the meantime, do let me know if you guys can hear me clearly and can see me as well. You can let me know in the chat. Hey, I think we can quickly get started. So hi everyone, I'm Melanie. I'll be your host for today. So today we're gonna be doing a live training session. Okay, let's quickly get started. So as usual, disclaimer, the information expressed in this presentation and on the following slides are solely those of the presenter and not necessarily those of Vantage. Solely used for educational purposes, and they do not constitute investment advice and or consultation on how a client should trade. Vantage does not guarantee the accuracy or reliability of the information provided herein. So trading margin FX and CFDs carries significant risk and is not suitable for all investors. So you lose substantially more than your initial amount. When acquiring our derivative products, you have no entitlement, right, or obligation to the underlying financial asset. So you are kindly advised to read the relevant documents on our legal documents page and seek independent advice to fully understand the risk before deciding to trade. Yeah, so with that, let's move on. So here is our team. We have Desmond, who is the CEO of Everest Fortune Group, finalist for Best FX Research and Best Equity Research in 2019, 2020, and 2021. Okay, so let's just get started. Let me just pull out my trading view. Okay, so let's start off with Ethereum because I think last week we had a couple requests for Ethereum. So let's go ahead and do that. So as usual, we're going to start off by looking at the longer time frames before deciding to analyze on either our 1 hour, 4 hour, or the daily time frame. So let's take a look at our monthly time frame, or rather our weekly time frame. You can see Ethereum slowly climbing back up on our daily as well. And here's the 4 hour time frame and the hourly time frame. So let's go ahead and start analyzing on our daily time frame first. Okay, so first things first, we identify the general trend. I think we can all agree that price, let me zoom in a little bit. Price looks like it's climbing up towards the swing high here. So we don't have any trend lines or trend channels in this case, but we've identified our general trend. So now that we've done that, let's go ahead and identify some support and resistance levels. So firstly, we have our first support, which would be the closest swing low to where current price is. So in this case, our first support would be over here. This is the closest swing low. And then for our resistance level, let's just go ahead and put it over here at the closest swing high to where price currently is. Okay, so now that we've done the two main swing highs as well as the swing lows, let's zoom in a little bit. Here we can see that there is a little bit of a resistance over here. So I'm going to label this as my first resistance instead. And here's my second resistance. Okay, so I can also see that I have a little bit of resistance here, but it's not exactly a swing high, so we can't call that a resistance level, significant resistance level. So instead, what I'm going to do is take note of this level with where price is currently testing, and this is just a temporary resistance level, or rather a intermediate resistance level that we can take note of. Okay, let's look for another level of support. In this case, I have a level over here. First support. So this area, I call this an area more than a level because you can see that price has tested this area a couple of times. Let me just highlight it for you. So this is an overlap support area. We have a couple of swing highs, and then now price is testing it at this swing low here. So this is our first support, and I'm going to label this as our second support. However, the second support is a little bit far from where price currently is, but we will pull out some Fibonacci levels now so that we can adjust that. Okay. So now that we have our support and resistance levels, let's pull out our Fibonacci levels. So firstly, I can see that there is a flash kind of symbol over here. So here will be my Fibonacci projection level. So remember, just to recap, Fibonacci levels for a Fibonacci projection, Fibonacci projection levels, we make use of these three levels, 61.8, 70.6, and the 100%. And already you can see that 61.8% lines up nicely with my first resistance. Okay, so I'm gonna get rid of the other two just so that my charts are clean and not so messy with all the different levels that we don't need. Okay, we have one down. Let's pull out another Fibonacci over here. Okay, before I do that, let me just show you guys what I mean by the flash symbol. It's this kind of shape over here, or like a lightning bolt. Okay? Okay, now that we've settled that, let's pull out our Fibonacci retracement. Over here, I have a little bit of a Nike tick. So just to recap really quickly, a Nike tick is what we call our Fibonacci expansion levels. So we make use of these two levels, the 127.2 and the 161.8. And you can see how these two levels actually line up really nicely with our intermediate resistance as well as our second resistance level. Okay. Okay, So let's pull out another Fibonacci. This is just a regular Fibonacci retracement. For Fibonacci retracement, we use these 5 levels: 23.6, 38.2, 50%, and 61.8, as well as 78.6. So I'm going to use all of those first and see where they line up. In this case, I can see that my 38.2 lines up really nicely with my first support. Okay. Let's see what else we have here. Okay, that's about it. I'm just thinking, as I mentioned earlier, our second support is a little bit far from where our current price is, but I placed it here first because, as a general rule of thumb, your support level should be at a major, or rather a significant swing low, closest to where price currently is, which is this point. But it is a little bit far, so I'm thinking of placing it here instead at this swing low. And what makes this so significant is that another 78.6% Fibonacci retracement is also in line with this level, which is why I've chosen to put my second support here instead. Okay, let's go ahead and remove those levels that we don't need. Okay, I think we have a little bit of a support level here as well that we can take note of. Just over here. So the reason why I'm pointing this out is because, let me zoom in. It's because this is a swing high, right? We can see price reversed off of this level, but we can also see the 23.6% Fibonacci retracement lines up nicely with this level as well. Okay. So now that we've got that, let's go ahead and pull out some indicators. So Ichimoku and MACD can see price moving above our Ichimoku cloud, which gives us a bullish bias, and MACD as well gives us a bullish signal. Okay. Okay. So now we're analyzing this on the daily time frame. Let's take a look at how this would look different on the 4-hour time frame. Sorry, my mouse has kind of jammed. Let me just refresh this. Okay, first let's look at, I'm going to be using my mouse pad in the meantime. Okay. So this was actually analyzed on a daily time frame, but if we're going to zoom in and look at something more recent, your first resistance level could actually be placed over here at where our intermediate resistance level is. It's just that I decided to add a intermediate level to show you the this confluence area between this intermediate level at the swing high as well as at the 127.2. So if we're going in for a buy towards our second resistance, we'll wait for price to break through, break out of this confluence area here, before going in for buy towards the second resistance, since there is such a strong confluence area over here. Okay, let me continue. Let me know if you guys have any other requests. I started with Ethereum because I vaguely remember someone requesting Ethereum last week. And let me know if you guys have any questions as well. Okay. So if we're going to make use of more indicators, sorry, before we move on to the next one, just wanted to point out another indicator. So if we're going to make use of pivot point indicators, I think because someone mentioned pivot points last week, so I'm going to look it up. Let's try and use them on this time frame. So on our daily time frame, we would make use of the weekly, the monthly time frames. Okay? Because as you can see earlier, if I changed my pivots, or rather if I didn't change it and it started with daily, it would be a mess and it would be less effective to use. So in this case, since I'm analyzing on a daily time frame, I'm going to make use of the monthly time frame for pivots. Okay, let me zoom in. So for pivots as well, we like to make use of the pivot point as well as the S1, S2, R1, and R2. So you can see here at this level that I've indicated as our first resistance, we have many resistance levels that line up here, which tells us that it's a strong resistance level to take note of. Similarly, my second support, sorry, over here, it's in line with a pivot level as well as a support level, as well as our first support. So that's how you know your graphical analysis is pretty accurate with all of the pivot levels also lining up with them. Okay, that's all I wanted to say for Ethereum. So let me know if you guys have any other requests for any other charts. In the meantime, I think I'm gonna do Euro. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and okay, we'll do Nasdaq after we finish Euro USD. Okay, so same thing, we're gonna start looking at our monthly time frame and then our weekly time frame as well. Okay, let me, and here's our daily time frame. So you can see on our weekly time frame, price looked like it was dropping, but now it's coming up, and on our daily time frame, it's also going up. So right now, I'm just trying to decide between the hourly, 4-hour, and daily to see which gives us a clearer price movement. Okay, I think I'm gonna go with daily again because you can see the movement in price more clearly over here. Okay, so let's see. We can all agree that price is moving upwards. So let's see if we can find a ascending trend line, which we do have over here. So remember, for an ascending trend line, we need 3 significant swing lows that all line up. Okay. Okay, now that we've done that, let's go ahead and plot out our support and resistance levels. So here would be my resistance level. And our support levels, closest swing low to where price currently is. And I'm going to try and pull it back as far as I can. Okay, I'm just going to leave it here. First support and our second support over here. Okay. So now that I have my support and resistance levels, same thing, let's pull out our Fibonacci levels. So firstly, I have a Fibonacci retracement over here. Let's see if I can find an intermediate resistance over here. Okay, here. This is my intermediate support level. And why did I decide to do this? Because you can see our first resistance and our first support is quite far apart over here. And I have a swing low here, just a tiny swing low here, where I can see price rejected, bounced off of this level. And I can see in the recent past, price also tested this level. Okay, and it also lines up with my 38.2%. So I'm going to go ahead and remove everything else. Now I have another larger retracement level over here. So same thing, I'm just going to use all of my 5 levels first and see which levels line up. Okay, in this case, I can see my 38.2 is quite close to my first support, and my 50% is pretty close to my second support as well. So I'm going to keep those two and just make a note of it. Okay, so it doesn't have to exactly line up nicely like this. Most of the time, in fact, confluence areas are, well, areas, not so much specific levels. Okay, so now that we've gotten our Fibonacci levels, let's pull out some indicators. Ichimoku, MACD, can see price moving, just breaking out of the Ichimoku cloud, gives us a bullish signal as well as on a MACD. Okay, maybe this time I'll try using the RSI as well. Just to see if we can find any divergences to support our analysis. Okay, I think over here we can see right that price made a higher low right? But then on our price chart, price maintained on the same level. So this is a bullish divergence, gives us even more confidence that price will continue to go up towards our first resistance. Okay, so that wraps up our USD. Let's move on to NASDAQ. So for NASDAQ, let's take a look at the weekly. You can see price going up after this support level here. Okay. Let me see if we have a trend channel here. Okay, we do. So we can see price moving within a trend channel. Okay, let me just adjust it. Okay, price is moving within this ascending trend channel. So now let's plot our support and resistance levels. Here I will place my second support. You can see this huge level of support over here. And then my first level support will be here. And I'll see later on if I can drag it back any further. Okay, no. Okay, about here is like the maximum, I think. Because if we go any further than this, we are cutting too many candlesticks, which is something that we want to avoid. Okay, so first resistance over here. Let's see if we can pull it back. No. Okay, now let's look at some Fibonacci levels. Okay, so price is currently at this level here, and I would call this my intermediate resistance level as well because we have a previous swing high. And in fact, this level is pretty significant because it's an overlap resistance as well. And price has tested this level many times before. Okay, so I'm gonna pull up my Fibonacci levels. All fibs. Okay, here. So I can see my 78.6 lines up with this intermediate resistance, and my 50% also lines up with my first support. So I'm gonna just keep those two, 78 and 50. Okay. And then I can also see a Fibonacci projection over here. So once again, remember Fibonacci projection is 61.8, 78.6, and 100%. Notice how all of these levels over here, 100% as well as the 61.8 line up nicely with other levels. So I'm just gonna remove the 78.6. So this is what we call Fibonacci confluence, and it's something that you want to really take note of, because when you have such areas of Fibonacci confluence, especially if it's together with a significant level of support or resistance in this case, it could indicate a price reversal over here. So we could actually see price reverse off of this level since it's such a strong area of resistance. Okay, but of course, it could also continue within our ascending trend channel. Okay, so how will we know? Let's just pull out some indicators to analyze together. We have Ichimoku and MACD. So Ichimoku price is moving above the Ichimoku cloud, giving us a bullish signal. And for MACD, price is also giving us a bullish signal. Now, how about RSI? Here we can see price is moving within an ascending trend line. Okay, let's see if we can find any divergences. Okay, apart from this one over here, right, we see price moving and this price making a higher low. However, here we see price remaining at the same level as our second support. However, this might not be a strong enough indicator that price will continue in a bullish momentum, because as you can see, immediately after this point on the 28th of December, it did continue upwards. So it might not be valid anymore. So we're going to go ahead and remove that. Okay, so most of our indicators tell us that price will continue to go up to our first resistance. However, we are a little bit skeptical because of this confluence area here. So I would probably wait for it, if you want to be extra careful, I would wait for it to break out of this confluence area just a little bit before going in for the buy towards our first resistance. Okay. Okay, do you guys have any other requests? Okay, in the meantime, shall we look at gold? Continue to let me know in the chat section or in the Q&A section any other currency pairs or commodities that you want me to go through. Okay. So let's get right into it. Let's see if we have a standing trend channel here. So you can see it's pretty methodical. Once you get the hang of it, you just something that I would say if you're just starting out is to try out the different indicators, learn how to use them appropriately, and then you can use them for whichever chart you wish. Natural gas and Brent on offshore. Okay, let's quickly go through this first. So we don't have a trend line, but we can all agree that price is moving in an upwards trend. Okay, same thing, support and resistance levels. Here's my first support. Here's my second support. first support over here. Okay. And we can find intermediate levels over here. Actually, there might be one here. So the reason for the intermediate level is because there is such a distance between our first support and first resistance. So it's just another level to take note of. That is a little bit more relevant to where price currently is here. Okay, let's quickly get started. Actually, I'm going to call this first support instead. And here will be second support. So let's dive right into our Fibonacci levels. Here to here, I can already see a pretty clear Nike tick formation. And true enough, my 127.2% level lines up with my first resistance. Okay. So my 161 is a little bit of a distance from my first support, so I'm just going to highlight this area. Here we have a Fibonacci retracement. Okay, my 23.6% lines up with my first support. Okay, so now that we have all of that, let's go in. Oh, I think we have one more retracement here just to see if we have any Fibonacci levels for this first resistance here. Okay, no, we don't. Okay, let's move on to indicators now. Once again, price is moving above Ichimoku cloud, giving us a bullish bias along with MACD. Here we can see a slight bullish divergence. Right, but it might not be valid because price did make a it did continue to move upwards after this second vertical line that I've indicated here. Okay. Natural gas and Brent oil. So let's do Brent oil first. Okay, here. So let's look at the monthly, or rather the weekly. Daily. Okay, we can see price looks like it's continuing to move upwards, even though the general trend of it is downtrend. Let's see if we have any Fibonacci levels, or rather any significant levels to take note of. Okay, so here's our resistance level and our support level. Okay, so our second resistance could be over here in line with an overlap resistance. And my first support can be pulled back all the way here. Okay. Let me just color this red to show it's moving in a descending trend channel. Now let's pull out some Fibonacci levels. So my 61.8 lines up nicely with my first support. Okay. Retracement. Let's see if we have any retracement. Here's another projection. Okay, but none of these levels really line up. Now over here where price currently is, there is a little bit of an intermediate resistance over here. You can see how many times price tested this level, which is why I want to take note of this level. Okay, and my 50% lines up nicely with that level. So now that that's done, let's look for some indicators to support our analysis. Price is moving below the Ichimoku cloud, which gives us a bearish bias. However, on our MACD, it's giving us a little bit of a bullish signal. So we can get rid of that. And on our RSI, we're seeing a bit of a descending trend line. Okay, we're seeing a little bit of a descending trend line, which also supports our bearish bias. Okay. So let me know if you guys have any questions about this chart. So Rosen, would you be going in for a buy or for a sell for Brent oil? Because in this case, price looks like it recently reversed off of our first support. However, the general idea is to always go, or rather to trade according to the market. So in this case, we can see that it's moving downwards. So I'm just curious to know what you would do in this case. Okay, let's move on in the meantime. Natural gas. Okay, so now we have natural gas. This is natural gas on a daily time frame. You can see the price movement recently isn't too clear. So this is what we want to avoid when we are analyzing charts. So I'm going to look at our forward chart to see if we can get clearer price movement. Okay, I think I'm going to analyze on our 4-hour chart. But the charts for natural gas aren't very nice. Very nice in the sense that the price movement isn't very clear. Okay, let's go ahead and analyze on our 4-hour chart. So here we can definitely see price moving in a descending trend line or trend channel rather. Okay, here's my first support. My resistance would probably be here. Okay, but this isn't a very nice chart to analyze on. So your resistance levels could be a little bit weird because normally for resistance levels, we're looking for swing highs. But in this case, the closest swing high would be over here, which is too far from where price currently is. So I'm trying to look for a less significant swing high to be our first resistance. Okay, I'm just gonna put it over here since we have an overlap. We have swing lows over here and a small swing high here, which makes it an overlap resistance. Okay, I'm trying to see if we have any other nice levels to look at. Okay, over here we have one as well. We have a swing low here, couple of swing lows here, and a swing high here as well. Okay. Now let's pull out some Fibonacci levels. My 50% already lines up with my second support, as well as the 61.8. So I'm just going to keep those two, 50% and 61. Okay, and I have a projection as well. With my 78.6 lining up with the second resistance and my 100% lining up with the 61.8. Okay, let's pull out some indicators. Ichimoku, MACD, RSI. Ichimoku price is moving below, giving us a bearish signal. MACD is giving us a bullish signal. So we're going to get rid of that. And we can see here, price is moving in a descending trend line, which also supports our analysis as well. Okay, here I can see a bullish divergence. Okay, we can see price made a lower low on our price chart. However, on our RSI, price made a higher low. Okay, so even though there is this bullish divergence, if you zoom in and take a look, price did actually move upwards very slightly, but it reversed down immediately after that. So this might not be valid anymore, but it's still worth taking note of because it's not too far from where price currently is. Okay, that's all I have to say about natural gas. Do you guys have any other requests or any other questions? Pound yen? Sure, let's take a look at that really quickly. Okay. Here's the monthly time frame. You can see kind of a flag shape here, a bearish flag, right? Okay, so it's just something for us to take note of. Here's the weekly time frame. Price is moving upwards. Daily time frame. We have the same flag shape over here. And you can see price actually breaking out of it as well. So on our daily, we have a bullish bias. Hours and 1 hour. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and analyze on our daily again. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm just gonna highlight the flag shape that we pointed out. So now let's plot some support and resistance levels. Here's my first support, and I think this is my intermediate resistance since it's so close to current price. So in that case, my first support will be over here. Of first resistance, sorry. Okay. Okay, now for our Ichimoku Fibonacci level, sorry. Here. We have 61.8 here. And then I can also see that we have a projection level here. 78.6 lines up nicely. So I'm going to remove the other two. Okay. I think we have a smaller Fibonacci projection here. Okay, I'm going to move my first resistance to this level since we have a swing high here that lies in line with the 78.6. I'll also put another second resistance here. Okay. Now let's use some indicators once again. Okay, so you can see that the price recently broke out of our bullish flag here. So it broke out of or rather inverted triangle, whichever you want to call it. It broke out recently, and you can see it also recently broke out of our Ichimoku. So it gives us a really strong bullish signal. You can see on our MACD as well, bullish signal. And on our RSI as well, we see a ascending trend line. Let's see if we have a divergence here. Yeah. Okay, not really here. So let me just get rid of that. But you can see on our RSI, it's also moving in an ascending trend line. So overall, we have a bullish bias. But once again, because of the confluence at this intermediate resistance, I will wait for price to move above this resistance level as well as the 61.8% retracement before going in for a buy towards our first resistance or second resistance. Okay, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you guys so much for joining me today, and I hope you found this session helpful. Yeah, and I'll see you guys next week again. Thanks, buggers.